I'm not saying that I've put off holiday shopping, but the reality is I have put off holiday shopping and now I'm freaking out.
I have never put off holiday shopping this late in the game, so I'm so glad Uncommon Goods has products that I know my family will love.
Uncommon Goods makes holiday shopping stress-free and joyful with thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts that you cannot find anywhere else. Seriously, I've never seen these gifts before.
You'll discover presents that feel meaningful and personal and never feel rushed or last minute.
Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, from moms to dads to kids to teens, from book lovers and sports fans to foodies, mixologists, and gardeners. You are going to find unforgettable gifts that are absolutely out of the ordinary.
I've been trying to make an effort to gift my partner with jewelry every major holiday, and they have some great solid gold selections that I'm really excited to look through. And I might even get the Stellar Light multicolor sapphire bracelet for myself.
I'm obsessed with the Cheese Lovers jam sampler. Surprisingly, it's not for me, but I'm really excited about it because I get to eat it.
Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the US by independent artists and small businesses. Every purchase is a chance to choose something remarkable and feel good about where your money goes.
This right here is why I love Uncommon Goods. With every purchase you make, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3.1 million to date.
So don't wait. Make this holiday the year you give something truly unforgettable. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/BookTok.
That's uncommongoods.com/BookTok. BookTalk for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We are all out of the ordinary.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay, oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
When Chaol and Aedion seek information from soldiers who once guarded the mysterious fortresses that activated the night magic vanished, Chaol turns to Dorian for support, only to be confronted with brutal honesty. Dorian calls him out for abandoning his friends when they needed him most, and Aedion delivers a similar blow, accusing Chaol of clinging to neutrality like a child too afraid to choose a side. High in the Ferrying Gap, Manon and the 13 train relentlessly with their wyverns, but Abraxos' fragile wings cannot withstand the crossing. Determined to save her mount, Manon seeks spider silk from the deadly Stygian spiders. But even reinforced, Abraxos hesitates at the edge of the chasm. When Iskra lashes him to spark a fight, Manon's fury reveals just how fiercely she has come to care for her wyvern. In Wendlin, Selena and Rowan grow closer as their walls finally begin to crack. But during the Beltane celebrations, when Selena reaches the edge of magical and emotional burnout, the truth she's held on to erupts. Rowan is confronted with a devastating revelation. Maeve lied to him about Aelin, and his own cruelty towards Selena has only deepened her wounds. In the ashes of this truth, Rowan must reckon with who he has been and who he must become to stand beside the rightful queen of Terrasen. Hey there, we're Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously.
This is Jac.
And I'm Amy.
And we're bringing the tools of literary analysis to the women-written novels lighting up Book Talk, from romance to romantasy. Think of it as your favorite fandom books, treated with the same respect you'd give a classic in literature class, just with more humor and less homework.
Each season, we dive into one book, breaking down themes, imagery, and character motivations. Together, we combine our 13 years of literary academic training with our fandom love to help you see your favorite books in a whole new way. We also analyze the story through 2 different literary lenses, giving you more than one way to look at the text.
This week, we're discussing chapters 36 through 42 of Sarah J. Maas's third novel in the Throne of Glass series, Heir of Fire.
For a complete list of episodes and the chapter breakdowns, be sure to check out our Instagram at the handle BookTok for BookTok.
Disclaimer. Before we dive in, let's talk about Spilt. Spoilers, perspective, interpretation, language, and themes.
Spoilers. This episode covers Heir of Fire with the full context from the first 3 books, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. We recently got a comment that was upset we talked about the end of Heir of Fire in an earlier Heir of Fire episode.
Did we?
Yes, we did. So, folks, if you are reading along and you don't want to be spoiled, this podcast is not for you. This is your only spoiler warning. Anything beyond Heir of Fire and other SJM works will be saved for our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks episode that airs this Thursday.
That's hilarious. I'm happy I don't see things sometimes.
They were upset that we revealed Sorsha's connections.
That's in this book.
I know.
Where was that at?
First episode.
What? No, but where? Like, was it email or comment?
It was a comment. It might have been Spotify.
That's funny. Hey, if you made it to here, we're not targeting you, but we are listening your comment. Okay. We love you. Perspective interpretations. These are just our takes, our personal reading of the text. We don't speak for Sarah J. Maas, and we know that you'll have your own interpretations too. We love to hear them, so please share.
I know we're taking longer. I know we're taking longer than usual, but you guys, we say this every time and we record it anew every time because we take ourselves seriously. And if you are tuning this out and you're not listening to us, I can't be held accountable.
If you're just skipping ahead, this is not the time to skip it. Look, skip through the ads, not this.
Language. We use explicit language and we just don't care.
Themes. We discuss topics like sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death. We will do our best to flag heavier moments where we can, but listener discretion is advised.
As always, let's keep the conversation going, even when you want to call us out. Tag us, DM us, or use the submission form on our website. And if you want exclusive content and live streams, you'll find us over at patreon.com/BookTok for BookTok. And don't forget, you can watch all of this on YouTube as well.
Yeah. Why are you guys there also? Can't get enough of analysis? Make sure to check out the Subtext Society Journal, where we write think pieces discussing the romance and romantasy genre as a whole, the ongoing conversations in the bookish community, and insights on the publishing world. You can read our latest articles for free with no subscription required. But to receive the new articles in the future, make sure to subscribe.
Want to be published? Head to the subtextsocietyjournal.substack.com to submit your article for a chance to be a paid contributor.
Each week, we ask ourselves a question, and this week it was too hard. So we are going to take a scene from this chapters, and we're going to analyze it in different lenses, in different ways within the lenses. So stay tuned for the end of the episode.
Themes we see in this section include vulnerability and facing uncomfortable truths.
And needing to go to therapy.
Oh, lots of therapy. So we start this episode in chapter 36, and I've decided Aedion is like a tired mom who, down to the last few children in the household before she becomes an empty nester, and has just kind of given up. I keep looking at your face.
I'm sorry.
You laughing when I was like, we take ourselves seriously. And you're like, huh? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll try not to face.
It's okay.
I've recently discovered that when I'm listening to you, my mouth does this. So I'm really trying to
pay attention.
Yeah.
Ren asks about Aedion meeting up with Chaol, and Aedion, quote, decided it wasn't enough of a challenge to warrant a verbal slap, and gave a nod as he went back to cleaning his nails with one of his fighting knives. So, Ren is being insolent, therefore Aedion considers violence, verbal violence, but violence, and although he doesn't act on it, there's a temptation, and he makes sure he's prepared to strike as he keeps that fighting knife in his hand and at the ready. Like my mom. I tease.
All of this was your mom coded.
This was my mom.
The beginning of this was very your mom coded. I didn't want to say anything, but Mama Chung is here.
Ren, meanwhile, is still injured and in no shape to fight, so you'd think he'd see the power differential and keep his mouth shut. But that is not the case.
You know, love a man who has clean fingers, so can't be too mad about this. I'm going to move this note a little earlier. So this happens later in the conversation. Not that you know where everything is, but in case you're trying to follow chronologically. But at this point, I feel like Aedion will start to channel Aelin, someone he doesn't even know. And this is specifically when he's talking to Ren about Ren's tragic past. And it's, quote, "I'm sorry," Aedion said. "That was all he could offer for the time being, until Aelin returned." And I don't think I moved my actual note up. Basically, what I wanted to get to that point is that this isn't for him. Oh, there it is. This is putting the responsibility and onus onto Aelin. This is not her responsibility. Like, he's already kind of coming up with a list of things for her to tackle. And one of that is Ren's tragic past, which again, like, it's not Aelin's responsibility either.
No, it's a great point. I think Aedion is making assumptions, right? If he was a ruler, he would address this, but he's not the one in charge, so that's for Aelin to figure
tease
out.
it out like he's going to be.
Oh, yeah, they are.
There are many different feelings in Aedion, especially as he's frustrated in Ren, and he's trying to find his own inner peace. And this is while, you know, they're still talking about Ren and his grandfather being homeless, and Aedion says, quote, "You should have told me," he said, dropping the grin as he watched the golden lights twinkling across the city, "that you and your grandfather had no home." If there's two things that I know to be true in this book series, and that is, one, Manon will never understand what love is. And two, that is, I mean, not until again, and that is, Rifthold's a shithole. Like, that is, they keep talking about how disgusting Rifthold is. They keep talking about how it's just this gross city. And so to be describing it as golden twinkly lights kind of is adding a little bit of a descriptor that you don't get with Rifthold. And I think the reason for that is because Aedion's trying to channel his honor from Terrasen. He's trying to be like them, the Terracinian people. And, you know, that moment where he's letting go of this violence of, like, you know, I should stab him for being insolent, goes to, damn it, you should have told me that you had no one to turn to.
Yeah, I like where you're going with that. It's almost like, despite how shitty Rifthold is, he can appreciate that people have roofs over their head and they're able to feed themselves. And Ren and Murtaugh have not necessarily had that.
Yeah.
So Aedion is feeling shame. And that shame is like a whetstone sharpening his weapon-like temper and body. While he's reflecting on how Ren and Murtaugh have been homeless, he thinks about how, quote, the shame Aedion had felt that night had almost overwhelmed him and had haunted him for the past few days, honing his temper to a near lethal edge. He'd tried working it off with the castle guards, but sparring with the men who protected the king had only sharpened it. We're going to get many reminders throughout this scene and a lot of scenes that Aedion is in about how deadly he is, which is a lovely contrast to how he acts when he gets to the tavern to meet Chaol. Even later, when the topic of Aelin and the Terrasen throne comes up, Aedion tells Ren that, quote, if she's smart, then she'll let me do what needs to be done. She'll use me as the weapon I am. What I find interesting about this is not only he's a weapon to be possessed, and he wants to be possessed by Aelin. That is what that statement is claiming. He won't admit whether he wants to be king, her king, but this acknowledgement that he wants to be her weapon feels like a stand-in. And to withhold that he wants to be king is like, I just don't want to jinx it, guys.
It's giving sub. It's giving, where's mommy Dom coming? If she wants to use me as a weapon, she can use me. Like, to me, it's giving major sexual undertones.
Yeah.
Some might say overtones, highlights versus lowlights. And SJM wants us to believe in this triangle so desperately. And I did. I really did.
I really did.
Oh, yeah. I was like, okay, cousins, I'm fine with it. Stop making me question everything.
I definitely wanted Aedion over Rowan for a while there.
Oh, I did too. Once I was like, oh, okay, so, I mean, actually, I don't want to. We said not spoiling anything beyond Heir of Fire.
Okay, whatever. We've talked
All
about
right.
Aelin and Rowan a lot.
Series spoilers, we try. Anyway, we were Team Aedion, both of us. And Aedion is all for being used, but that's because he is trying to be redeemed and find a purpose. And the only way he knows how to exist is how to be used. He is considered Aderlin's whore because he is being used by the king. And his life does not function, has no meaning if he is not used himself. It's very sad.
It is.
Another thing that's really sad is everyone in this book feeling like they've just done unforgivable shit. And, everyone just feels horrible. Quote, I've done things, Ren said. Bad things. Aedion had suspected as much from the moment Ren gave them the address of the opium den. So have we all, Aedion said. So has Aelin. The last part in his head. Also, just because she's an assassin doesn't mean it can be justified, whatever. It's this idea of past wrongs and the things that we need to do to survive. I struggle with this in books where there's no nuance to what you had to do to survive versus these are the past wrongs. And it's normally always saved for someone to look at you and be like the character and just say, you had to do what you had to do. This isn't your fault. You got here. You survived until this point. That conversation always comes in. I would just love a character to just be like, you know what? I'm okay. I killed that person. They were going to come after me if I didn't. Wait for that for my book.
I mean, it is an interesting question about morality, and it kept making me think about Blood over Brighthaven. What does it mean to be good? Is good intention enough? Is it the consequences of your actions?
I think about that a lot, especially when we're at the gym. I don't tell you what I'm thinking about when I'm squatting, but usually it's about is my morality judged by my intentions or by my actions? And then I count to 8 and then I squat all over again,
I don't judge. We listen and we don't judge.
We judge a little. When where morality is not lost, it's a very interesting moment. So Ren asks, what do they do with Chaol once he outlives his usefulness? And that's what he says, outlives his usefulness, which heavily implies
he's going to get killed afterward.
Get killed, right? Yeah, death. And Aedion says, hey, this is the way it has to be, the way I operate. Because, Aedion's also kind of we'll see what happens after he,
We'll cross that bridge when the time comes, is basically what he says.
I was looking at my note. Did I fuck something up? No. Oh, well. So Aedion says, quote, this is the way it has to be, the way I operate. Even if he'd helped save Ren's life and given him a place to stay, I wonder what the queen would think of the way you operate. That's Ren who's talking. So there's judgment here on I'm going to decide if Chaol gets to live later. There's judgment there when Ren's kind of implying maybe you should kill Chaol, because we know Ren's not a fan of Chaol. Right. And if it was up to him, Chaol would die. But it's you can't go from, I don't know, hey, you should kill the captain of the guard to, I hope our queen accepts the way that you are living morals. Like, you just don't get to have the moral high ground. Honestly, that probably should have been one of our themes, is the moral high ground, because I feel like Dorian
Oh, yeah.
is like super moral high ground here.
I think that one's justified, though.
Oh, I can't wait for us to talk.
When Aedion goes to the tavern to meet up with Chaol, we are in Chaol's point of view. And while Aedion's point of view acknowledges that he's a weapon, Chaol's point of view emphasizes the threat that Aedion is. But it's not what you would expect given Aedion's point of view. So this is when Aedion stands up and speechifies and is like, you guys, I'm with you.
Till the bitter end, soldier,
Yeah.
soldier, man talk.
Yeah. Yes. Quote, for a heartbeat, as the room thundered with roars and cries, Chaol beheld what truly made Aedion a threat. Aedion was not a noble in a castle sipping wine. He was metal and sweat, sitting in this filthy tavern drinking their ale. Aedion made sure that they believed he would fight and die for them. Thus, they would fight and die for him.
This is really meant to show us that he has in him to be king. If Aedion wants to be king, he absolutely could be, which again is just making us more confused. And it's meant to show like Aedion is a true option for Aelin, which makes sense that this is happening at the same time that Aelin Celaena is starting to get horny for Rowan.
Yeah. There's a funny juxtaposition that happens between this scene and what's happening with Aelin and Rowan.
Yeah. I also love how we're at the point where we keep going back and forth between Aelin and Celaena versus previous episodes. It's just been straight up Celaena.
Yeah.
And I think that shows that we are entering true metamorphosis here.
Yes, I completely agree. That should have also been a theme that we cited.
Everyone just take a moment, close your eyes. And we said that.
Because of the threat that Aedion poses and knowing what Celaena/Aelin is capable of, Chaol fears for his kingdom, reminding us where his true loyalties lie. Quote, Chaol was afraid of what would come when Aedion and Aelin were reunited, for he'd seen in her that same glittering ember that had made people look and listen. The two of them together, both of them lethal, working to build an army to ignite their people. He was afraid of what they would do to his kingdom. Also, all the references to fire, totally intentional, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But in this moment, Chaol views these two, Aedion and Aelin, as monsters who would destroy his home. He forgets, A, what's already been done to them and their families and their territory, and B, that they might actually have some morality, where the king of Adelin does not. So his point of view comes from a place of fear, obviously, but is definitely skewed, and he allows it to remain skewed.
I agree. Like, there comes a point where, if you're faced with ignorance, you have a choice to move away from the ignorance or continue to live in it. And he's continuing to put his head in the sand, and that's part of his character's journey. I do find it interesting, though, that this is the first time. So by the time he was really conscious of life, the king had already taken over everything. He was like, 10, 11, 12. So, by the time he really came into adulthood, the king was this all-powerful entity. It must be terrifying knowing that this all-powerful being or person that you've vowed yourself to has actual competition and you know them.
Yeah.
Like, that's intimidating, right? He has seen this king take over empires, kingdoms, right? And the two that could actually be a single threat is his ex-girlfriend and the man standing right in front of him.
Yeah, that's fair. So he has a right to be afraid, essentially.
Yeah. It's like if you found out I was super powerful and influential.
I would not be afraid of you. I would be like, hell yeah.
I know, I'd be afraid of us.
Take a sip.
Take a sip.
We are in chapter 37, and in true food is power fashion, Manon makes sure all of the 13 and their mounts do not consume corrupted meat or men. And what are the results? They are stronger and faster than any of the other covens. And then Daft Punk's harder, better, faster, stronger.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
plays in my head. I saw you kind of like bob, and I was like, you're probably
Mhm.
listening to
Yeah,
the
I
same
am.
music in your head.
Yeah, I am.
Quote, Manon didn't like the thought of the mounts eating the foul-tasting meat raised within the mountain, so twice a day they hunted the mountain goats, swooping to pluck them off the mountainsides. It wasn't long before the witches started eating the goats themselves. She didn't know if it was the fresh meat or the extra lessons, but the 13 were starting to outpace every coven, to the point where Manon ordered the 13 to hold back whenever the yellow legs gathered to watch their lessons. Purely from the perspective of symbolism, this moment is hinting that the meat that the 13 and their wyverns are consuming is allowing them to be better than everybody else. And yeah, extra training is probably part of it, but at a minimum, both training and the meat are what is allowing them to excel, which, if you think about it, is kind of Esham's way to signal like consumption of this corruptness
Mhm.
allows the king to control people, but also makes them weaker, which I think is important for us to know in a grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Because the only time we've really seen the corruption used is with Cain, which made him bigger and stronger, etc.
You know what I absolutely love is how we went from the scene with Chaol, where he himself is struggling with what to do and he's never questioned anything,
Mm.
versus Manon, who questioned immediately of this meat's not good, let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
And she's questioning everything, and that's why she herself is not corrupt, right? There's a larger metaphor of the corruption of food and the corruption of power here.
Ah.
Also, this is organic food propaganda. No, kidding. I do try to buy organic when I can. And then other times I'm on a budget. And then I think, you know what? I'm fine if I have a bunch of preservatives in me, because then, like, maybe I'll be so filled with preservatives that when my body decays, it'll take a long time because I'm just so well preserved.
Like a McDonald's hamburger.
Yeah. Or like a bunch of microplastics holding me together.
Um, but unfortunately, organic fruit does taste better than regular fruit.
I saw something of, if it's like an avocado, you don't need to do organic because it's like the shell, like the layer is so
Thick.
dense that it doesn't really do anything. But if it's like, absorbing. I'm also not a farmer, so, don't trust me. Manon is really learning how to express her emotions with and through Abraxas. Quote, he needed as much training as he could get, and she liked the quiet stillness of the night and the silvered mountain peaks and the river of the stars above, even if it made waking up the next day difficult. So it starts off with, well, he needs this guy over here. This guy, he's broken. He needs that extra training. And in actuality, it's yes, he needs the training, but she's also able to find stillness, to find peace in the night. And we're seeing her actually enjoy beauty, right? This is
Mhm.
the woman who was like, flowers, ew,
Yep.
And now she's like, but the river of stars above me are pretty cool. It's also how I think that Aelin will find peace later with the fire, is
Mm,
how Manon is finding peace with the stars in Abraxas.
I love that. Because they mirror each other.
Yes. Manon decides to live a risky life by going alone with Abraxas on a very dangerous mission to get special silk. And it's about to rain, so Manon thinks, quote, she wished that she could take the 13 into the skies when the storm hit to train them in that too. It's like, okay. Or, babe, you wish that you could just take them on this trip with you so that you didn't have to be alone. But, unreliable narrators, what we love.
That's a great point.
I feel like she does that a couple times where she's like, I really like, they need to train. It's like, oh, are you
Or you just want your friends by your side.
12 other besties with you?
It's like when, you join your friends on their errands. You just want
Yeah.
to be together.
So like they're all super tight, right? And I know we gotten FaceTime with some more than others.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I would do with 11 more of you. I only have room for one.
Yeah. Even one more of me would be too much.
Can you imagine 11 more of me? No. It's too
No,
much. It's
you would
too
be my
much.
favorite of the
Out
11.
of all the, you know what? Out of all the clones of you, Amy, you'd be my favorite too. None of our clones can be this clever and funny. No one else agrees. That's okay. While they're camping out, because they have to camp out, Manon reaches for her supplies. Quote, she pulled a goat leg from a saddle bag and tossed it to Abraxos, who uncurled himself long enough to chomp it down, and then went right back to shielding himself against the storm. She'd cursed herself for a fool as she choked down on her own meal of soggy bread and freezing apple, then gnawed on a bit of cheese. Also, Aelin's going to be eating an apple later. And at the same time, both of these characters are really not accepting what they're actually feeling in that moment. They are denying the apple of truth.
Stay tuned for the end of the episode.
Yep.
Where we talk more about that.
Yeah. Olive and June is what got me into press-on nails, and now that I have started with their press-on nails, I will never go back to in-salon manicures.
I'm really excited to give their gel manicure system a try because one of my favorite pastimes is giving myself a manicure and challenging myself to make it as good as a salon manicure.
And Olive and June gives you everything that you need to have salon-quality manicures all in one box. They even have salon-grade tools designed just for DIY. You don't have to be a professional to give yourself professional nails.
Their gel mani system comes with everything. A 5-finger LED lamp, salon-grade tools, and their HEMA-free gel polish that lasts up to 21 days.
If you decide to get their mani system, you get to customize it with your choice of 6 different polishes, and this polish doesn't chip for at least 7 days. Really, that comes down to just $2 a manicure, which is fantastic.
Visit oliveandjune.com/booktalk for 20% off your first gel system.
That's oliveandjune.com/booktalk. BOOKTALK. For 20% off your first gel system.
The holidays throw me off purely because I'm not at work. I lose track of everything.
The number one thing that I lose track of are my nutrients. It is always the first thing to go, which is why I am obsessed with Ritual, especially their essential for women 18 plus.
Their Essential for Women 18 Plus multi contains 9 key nutrients in 2 delayed release capsules designed for optimal absorption per day, which means it's gentle on the stomach with a minty essence. And quite frankly, I love that minty essence because there's nothing worse than taking a pill that tastes like crap.
Ritual even conducted a university-led clinical trial for their Essential for Women 18 Plus multivitamin to assess its efficacy. The results? It increased vitamin D levels by 43%, omega-3 DHA levels by 41% in just 12 weeks.
I honestly need to get my partner on this. She needs both.
We all need it, which is why we have the perfect code for you today.
Our listeners get early access to their Black Friday sale for 40% off your first month at ritual.com/booktalk.
That's ritual.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for 40% off your first month. Don't miss out on their best sale this season. I wear glasses every day of the week except weekends, and those become my fun contact days until I'm about to run out, which I am on my last pair of contacts right now. 1-800-CONTACTS has been my go-to for refills with my contacts.
I've known you long enough that you'll go weeks without getting your contacts because of the location. But 1-800-CONTACTS skips the hassle. They offer free and fast shipping on every order.
For over 30 years, 1-800-CONTACTS has been the leader in online contact lens delivery with millions of contacts in stock and award-winning customer service.
They even offer free returns and exchanges, which means you can order confidently. They even offer unbeatable perks like free torn lens replacement. Their best price guarantee means if you find your contacts at a lower price elsewhere, they will beat it. That's a promise you won't find everywhere.
That's seriously why I keep going back to 1-800-CONTACTS. And they have extra discounts for new customers on their site.
Getting contacts doesn't have to be a hassle. Let 1-800-CONTACTS get you the contact lenses you need right now.
Order online at 1-800-CONTACTS.com or download the free 1-800-CONTACTS app today. Anyway, so this is in contrast of what she's feeding herself versus what she fed him. There's only so much room in a pack, and
Yeah.
what she saved was a goat leg, and then she gave herself soggy bread, freezing apple, and cheese, which honestly does sound pretty delicious.
But not a lot of protein.
No.
And so this is another moment where we see the unreliability of Manon as a narrator because she's so badass, she can't admit when she's actually in danger of freezing to death. Quote, "It was worth it. To secure victory for the 13, to be wing leader, one night in a storm was nothing. She'd been through worse, trapped in snowy mountain passes with fewer layers of clothes, no way out and no food. She'd survived storms some witches didn't awaken from the next morning. But she still would have preferred snow." What she doesn't realize as she's trying to fight the cold and go to sleep is that she only has her life and lives through the night kind of because of Abraxos.
Yeah.
Quote, "Mercifully, it stopped raining in the night. She slept better after that, but she still shook from cold. Though it felt slightly warmer, those small hints of warmth and dryness were probably what kept her from shaking to death or getting ill," she realized as she dozed off. Then she wakes up and sees that Abraxos has cocooned her under his wings and is like breathed his hot, probably stinky breath into that cocoon to keep her warm. And what I love about that when she realizes all of this, the scene just ends. You get
Mhm.
no emotion from her. She just dusts some icicles off of him and the scene cuts out. And I think that's intentional from a writing perspective
Yeah.
because if SJM had stayed in that scene, Manon would have felt something and we would have had to acknowledge it. But Manon is choosing to remain detached in her head. She's not really detached, but she's remaining detached from her emotions and trying to avoid acknowledging that attachment that she's developing for Abraxos.
Yeah. I actually want to read that scene after she realizes that, he's the one who saved her overnight. Quote, "When she opened her eyes, she was in shadow but dry and warm, thanks to the massive wield shielding her from the elements and the heat of Abraxos's breath. He was snoozing, a deep, heavy sleep. She had brushed ice crystals off his outstretched wing before he came awake. Her heart is icy and has icicles. She has the
Mm.
cold, icy heart. And her brushing away the icicles off of his wing is like brushing away the ice around her own heart."
Oh, that's a great metaphor.
It is.
Without Abraxos having wrapped basically or shielded Manon through the night, she probably would have died. And without realizing it, she has therefore become reliant on him. And, in some way, they're going to develop this codependent relationship. But what we're seeing is they're a team. They're becoming a team. And we see that again when Manon interacts with the Stygian spiders. I love this little moment as the Stygian spiders start to approach Manon. Quote, "Abraxos paced like a mountain cat, tail lashing this way and that as he watched the cave. So he thinks the spiders are a threat to Manon. He doesn't like it. And also, cats love to kill spiders. At least my cats do." So I was like, oh, yeah, that's on point.
Yeah. I mean, even the way that he uses his body is to protect Manon. Quote,
Mm-hmm.
"He draped his long tail along the length of the cliff's edge, a physical barrier between Manon and the plunge. Manon stared him down." Like she's even struggling to accept him being like, "Hey, I'm going to just put myself here so you don't fall off." And she's just
Mm-hmm.
like, "Screw you." It reminds me every time you walk past a certain batch of rocks after the gym and I need to stop letting you walk on that side. Like I need to take over walking on that side because I'm always like grabbing you and moving you away from that.
And I'm like, I saw it. Don't worry.
No. No, you didn't. Your feet were too close. It's like, if you saw it, that means you were purposely putting your feet that close to this edge.
So I want to stop and acknowledge the Stygian spider and where Stygian originates from. Stygian is related to the river Styx in Greek mythology. So if something is Stygian, it's from or related to the river Styx. And I didn't realize the river Styx is technically a goddess. It's a river, like a literal river, but it's also a goddess because it's one of the daughters of the Titan Oceanus.
Interesting.
That's what Wikipedia told me, guys. It also literally means very dark. The Merriam-Webster definition is extremely dark, gloomy, or forbidding the Stygian blackness of the cave. I don't know why that was the definition, but extremely dark, gloomy, forbidding. What else do we think of when we encounter these words in this world? Dun dun dun. Rhetorical question. Manon tries to bargain with the Stygian spiders for enough spider silk to reinforce Abraxos' wings. The spider, at least the main one, however, doesn't intend to make a fair trade because she's a bitch. She wants to make the most difficult trade or the most costly trade for those she trades with. And for Manon,
I mean, that's just business.
I know, but it's not fair.
Coming from the woman who loves to haggle, coming from the one who, whenever okay.
But usually I'm on the buying side.
Only because you're not haggling your goods. Just you wait. If you ever need to.
The spider says, quote, "What price could I ask of a long-lived witch? 20 years off your lifespan is nothing to you, even with magic aging you like an ordinary woman. And your dreams, what dark, horrible dreams they must be, Blackbeak. I do not think I should like to eat them, not those dreams." The spider came closer. "What of your face? What if I took your beauty?" Manon recognizes, as she has multiple times, that her beauty is a weapon. She doesn't really care about it, but she's also a warrior. And who wants to lose a valuable weapon?
Even though she's thinking, like, in that moment, she was like, what do I care about beauty? I don't care at all. Meanwhile, she does a face mask every night.
Yeah. The other two things, the 2 decades of life, the dreams, those are inconsequential to Manon and therefore inconsequential to the spider. The spider really has a sixth sense for what do you care about, which makes me think Manon does care about her beauty.
Like, none of this was actually for negotiation. Like, that's the thing, is that Manon came here to pull the wool over their eyes for the silk.
No, I know. But because we've had multiple encounters with Manon as an unreliable narrator, and she's like, ugh, I don't really care about my beauty. I'm like,
oh, we know
you
she
obviously
does.
do.
We absolutely know she does. It's just amazing how Manon's plan goes down, where she just straight up steals the silk. Quote, "Into the air, the cliff, the perfect takeoff spot, just as she planned, the perfect trap for these foolish ancient monsters." Mind you, Manon comes in here and she's like, "Hey, sisters." And, she's like scared, but she was like, "Let me haggle with you. Let me take a look at this silk here." I think this is hilarious because it reminds me of like Ren and eventually Aelin and everyone else who's just like, "I've done so many horrible things and I just feel so stuck." And Manon's like, "Idiots." Like, I feel like she's the only morally gray one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And part of it is because she enjoys it, right? She doesn't struggle with the morality of what she's done. She's like, yeah, I scored a deal. It was
Just
free.
like, yeah, the low price of free, idiots. Like, she might even killed them. She doesn't even care.
Yeah. Let's take a sip.
Yep.
We are now in chapter 38, and we are quickly reminded that love can be violent, especially among the witches. Manon contemplates that, quote, Astrid would have murdered her for the risk of seeking out the Stygian spiders, and her grandmother would have butchered Astrid for not being there. Manon was in no mood to replace her second and find a new member of the 13. Just another lovely example of Manon being an unreliable narrator, because what is she not saying? She doesn't want her second and third to suffer because she made a foolish choice.
Yep. And so when she gets to this crossing, right, Manon thinks, quote, or not thinks, but you know what I mean. There's this quote, though Manon was the Blackbeak heir, they would have locked her in a wyvern pen rather than let her make the crossing without the proper precautions. She might have called them soft-hearted and even given them a beating they deserved. But it was smart. Like, oh my God. It's so funny how overkill it is of
Yeah.
I'm going to beat your ass down too because you dare suggest that you should be there with me. But like, I guess it's smart. Please be there.
Yeah. I think Manon only exists because SJM had fun writing her, and I'm not
Yeah.
mad about it.
I'm so not mad. And, that's because we're really getting to see her. And she's not thawing. She's so far from thawing. But I
Mhm.
think at this point, we, the reader, should identify how unreliable of a narrator she is. I don't think at this point someone's reading this and is absolutely taking what she says as truth.
Yeah, agreed. Now, when Manon is ready to attempt the crossing with the help of Asterin, I forget the name of her third. Sorry, third. Not Soren. Oh, well, Sorrel? I don't remember.
Sorengale.
No. Oh, I have a theory.
Okay.
Silver Elite Danny Francis is actually Rebecca Yarros.
There's a lot of theories floating around. I'll talk to you.
I have not seen any of them, but
That's part of when we cover Silver Elite. Part of that conversation will be the Reddits that I have seen.
ooh, love it. Exciting.
Yeah.
All right. So Abraxos doesn't want to make the crossing. And with everyone watching, Manon grows agitated. And because she's agitated, she dons the face of the warrior and not the caring mother that she has become. Quote, there was a soft laugh from the viewing platform, and Manon's teeth popped down. Another quote, one of the men brought out a whip, but she held out a hand. Don't take another step, she snapped, iron nails out. Her agitation at being watched while Abraxos doesn't obey her makes Manon turn her ire and her aggravation on Abraxos. Quote, if you don't let me into that saddle and make that jump, I'm going to have you confined to the darkest, smallest pit in this bloody mountain. Meanwhile, her words are very empty because she actually doesn't want this, especially when she knows. I mean, in my mind, she knows she owes Abraxos her life. Quote,
Yeah.
Manon didn't turn. She didn't want to see them take Abraxos back to the gate, to whatever hole they'd lock him in. Stupid, useless beast. She doesn't want him to be locked up.
I love that, like, her friends or the 13 are just like, hey, he doesn't understand you?
Yeah,
He's the wyvern. And she's like, yes, he does.
He knows what I'm saying. Every moment of bonding and connection between Manon and Abraxos, like we saw on the mountain before the Stygian spiders, has to be countered with this unhappiness and ridicule. Because in some way, Manon has to demonstrate to herself, I'm not attached. I don't care. You can go rot. I'm a badass. I don't have maternal instincts at all.
I know. Now somebody go get my baby a chew toy. So Iskra, the absolute bitch, comes in after Manon loses the Battle of Wills, and she decides to whip our baby Toothless. It just makes me so sad. Quote, a whip snapped between them, and there was a roar of fear and pain. Manon stopped dead. Abraxas was huddling against the wall. Iskra stood before him, whip bloody from the line she sliced down his face, narrowly missing his eye. Abraxas yelped. Astrid and Sorel weren't fast enough to stop Manon as she hurtled past and tackled Iskra. Teeth and nails out, they rolled across the dirt, flipping and shredding and biting. Manon thought she might be roaring so loud the halls shook. Woo! So this is reminding me very much so, and as a precursor, of Aelin and Rowan, because Aelin is about to reveal her trauma to Rowan, and Rowan is going to just gets so mad, he flies very angrily. He just can't handle. He bats his little hawk wings. And whenever they're like, he roared. I'm like, okay, I know. What is he? A falcon, a hawk? It's
Hawk.
You know what I mean? Like, I know what they sound like. It's not that, but hold on. Let me hear. Give me a second. I just want to because it's so ridiculous to make it feel like hawk sound. Come on. It's coming. Trying to fast forward. Oh my god. Fucking hawk call already. Somebody hurt Aelin. So hurts me. So yeah, this is happening and it's reminding me of that where just absolute blackout anger.
No, you're doing a great job catching these moments.
Thank you.
I didn't even think about it, but it's so true.
So they're fighting. Manon's lost it, and quote, her knuckles howled in pain, but all she could see was that whip, the pain in Abraxos's eyes and fear. I mean, even the use of howled in pain, right? It's animalistic. It's lost all control. And this is her rescue dog, okay? No one hurts her baby. But again, it allows Manon to feel protective over someone/something that is hers. She actually has responsibility. She actually gets to care for something. Even Abraxos is shocked. He's, quote, crouching, eyes wide on her, kind of like, Mommy, what are you doing? I'm okay.
Be chill, Mom.
Mom, you're embarrassing me. No, he's actually he's probably clocking it, being like, oh, you protect me as much as I protect you. And this is one of the moments where I started crying in the library saying that I wanted a dog.
What is it? Opsa?
I want a Lhasa Apso. I want a
Lhasa. Name Abraxos.
I know. I'm going to get a Lhasa Apso named Abraxos and call him Brax for short.
That's cute.
One day.
In the evening, when Manon is checking in on Abraxos, Petra, the blue blood heir, comes to make a peace offering to both Manon and Abraxos. Quote, Petra held out a hand to her second, and the witch passed her the leg of meat. I also heard that your 13 and your mounts only eat the meat they catch. My Keely caught this on our morning flight. She wanted to share with Abraxos. The leg of meat is symbolic in multiple ways, and I love the significance of it because Manon rejects it. So it's symbolic of, friendship between Abraxos and Keely, because we see that those two are going to care about each other. It's also kind of offering an alliance or a peace offering between Petra and Manon, because I didn't call it out earlier. Manon doesn't want the yellow legs seeing how well they fly and train, right? But she didn't say anything about the blue bloods. Honestly, Petra and Manon are also very similar, and Manon won't admit that because they both speak to their wyverns. It's also, if food is power, a kind of sacrifice of power and offering to Abraxos to help him heal and recover, right? Instead of eating the foul meat that makes them weaker, there's a sacrifice by giving this clean meat to Abraxos. When Manon rejects the meat, even though it's clean, caught outside the mountain, she's rejecting all of those symbolic things that I went through. And it's because, A, pride, but also mistrust of what probably could be a valuable alliance. Because I'm Manon and I don't have friends.
Meanwhile, Abraxos, Mom, that's my
but
girlfriend. He sent me chocolates.
Take a sip. We are now in chapter 39, and we find Rowan and Selena in a very vulnerable and unexpected position. Rowan is allowing Selena to tattoo his wrist to replace the tattoos that she burned away with her fire hands. There's a lot of trust in this act. She's stabbing him with ink. She could honestly fuck up the tattoo, which would not be good. I would be pissed if I was Rowan.
Yep.
But she could also cause him bodily harm. And, that I think is saying something for Rowan. What I'm trying to say is he's allowing himself to be vulnerable to Aelin right now, physically, which makes sense then why he's able to be emotionally or mentally vulnerable with Selena as well.
Yeah.
And why he tells her about his past and tells him stories when she asks.
Yep. The act of tattooing reminds me of something. Quote, a hiss as she took the needle and little mallet and made another dark, bloody mark in him. It reminds me of when he bit her. She gets to pierce him. She is now being the one piercing his skin and is leaving the mark on him.
I had a really dirty thought. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You share it with the class.
So when he bit her, you talked about sex, losing virginity.
Mm-hmm. She's pegging him.
That's exactly what I thought.
The second you started, I was like, pegging. All roads come back to pegging.
I'm glad we understand each other.
Yes. Okay. There's this thing I want us to do. It's a TikTok trend, and
we're not going to peg each other.
We're not going to peg each other. First off, that's never an option, too. What kind of TikTok trend is that?
It was before you said TikTok trend. In my head, it was like, so we're going to, never mind. Please keep going.
You know what? We'll get to the TikTok trend another time. So what I love about Rowan letting Aelin tattoo him is that he's training her, but in a different way, and from the training that they're normally doing with the magic. And this training is important to Rowan, and it's meaningful. So now she's putting herself as the apprentice position because she craves his mentorship. Like, she even at one point is like, so you were an apprentice and you had a person teach you? Or so she's like, she really craves him, really, like, as a mentor.
That's a really good point, which is why their conversation at the end of these chapters is so important to her.
Yeah. So Aelin's about to do a little spiral of self-hatred and assumes that everyone hates her as well, particularly Aedion. Quote, because not only would he have recognized her, but if he knew what she'd done with her life. This is just like Aedion, who hates himself and hates everyone. Everyone just hates everything they've done, which is why I think Manon is refreshing, because she's unapologetic. But to bring it in at this point and to kind of have the fact that both Aedion and Aelin have similar thoughts of, they would never understand me, they would never forgive me. You're also building tension within the reader of thinking, I can't wait for them to meet again. I can't wait for that reunion, that we get to see what that's going to be like when they both say that they forgive each other, right? And considering that we've never met Aedion until this book, considering that we've never had scenes with them together beyond a single flashback, is truly impressive. I mean, considering that Aelin herself hasn't really thought about Aedion the way that Aedion keeps thinking about Aelin. And this reminds me a lot of Game of Thrones, where you have the, like, I want all the Starks to find each other again. But you're getting that buildup here without any of what you would assume to be the groundwork of seasons and books past. So that's just really impressive. And I do want to applaud SJM on that.
I agree. And it's done so well that you're so invested, right? Because you know how Aedion feels and you know how Aelin feels, and they in some ways feel the same, in some ways feel different. And it creates this really angsty tension that you're like, it's not going to be resolved this book. Damn it.
Yeah.
Quote, she had failed Aedion so unforgivably that she couldn't bring herself to blame or detest him for what he'd become. She didn't want to know what he'd been forced to do. If he knew what she had done with her life, his hatred would make Rowan's look pleasant, probably. What I love about this is for a while, it mirrors Aedion's sentiments, right? Aelin and Aedion are like, I can't blame them for what they've done. Life has been so hard for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aelin, even though we know Aedion loves her and would like move mountains for her, she assumes the worst. He would hate her more than Rowan hates her. And it's like, no, but we know better.
And it's also funny because Rowan doesn't hate her either, right?
Right.
Like, he's going to hate me the way Rowan hates me, or he's going to love you the way that Rowan respects you. You know what I mean? Like, has grown
Yeah.
to care about you. It is funny because it's like, you were right and wrong, Aelin.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What's also really funny about this moment is, well, Aedion was kind of sidestepping the conversation with Ren earlier about, would you be Aelin's king? And we kind of get the sense Aedion wants to say yes, but doesn't want to jinx himself. We get the opposite here with Aelin, which is just kind of tragic, to be honest. Quote, though their eyes were identical, their bloodlines were distant enough that she'd heard servants and courtiers alike pondering the usefulness of a Galathinius Ash River union someday. The idea was as laughable now as it had been 10 years ago, which just tells you also how their age difference kind of plays into their perspectives, right?
Yeah.
Because he is 5 years older than her. He was a teenager. He started to understand what his role was going to be, and he accepted that, whereas she was 8 and still resistant to her role. And she's kind of maintained that idea, whereas maybe if she had lived longer and been in court longer, she would have come around to the idea.
Still so weird that like a 13-year-old would look at an 8-year-old and be like, you will be my wife. You know what I mean? And I agree. Like, Aedion was probably picking up what everyone was putting down of saying like, oh, they'll be great together. And we already know Aedion was like super into protecting her. It's just giving Jacob and Renesmee. This, you know, like, I've been printed on you and I must take care of you. I don't look at you sexually like that because you are underage and an actual child. But like, one day I will. You know what I mean? It's creepy. But that's, you know, they're kissing cousins here. It would have been helpful earlier information to receive of they're so distant that they weren't even cousins other than their identical eyes. Stop calling them cousins. Stop it.
Yeah, especially this late into the book.
We're like 60% in.
Yeah, maybe more. It's a lot.
I mean, and the fact that it's still like, oh, they're distant enough cousins that it doesn't matter, but they still have the same eyes. That's still, I feel like that's still too similar. Call me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, they have the same hair color.
They look alike.
Yeah.
Aelin finally opens up about why she doesn't want the crown. Quote, the crown, my crown, is just another set of shackles. There is so much trauma around Aelin and being restrained, and it's not just the shackles of responsibility. It's not the shackles of Endovier. It's not the shackles that she had to Arabin of being his property until she paid him off. It's not being the king's champion. It's not just the fact that as a child, she was expected to potentially be this weapon of war. Her entire life has been shackles. So I just want to like really give, you know, the brevity that it needs.
Well, and also with magic on, she was shackled to her human form. Like, there's no agency when she can't undo, you know, the form that she's in.
Yep.
And Aelin doesn't get a lot of choices in this life.
No, nor will she.
Nope, ever.
I think it's important to see how in Aelin's mind, Endovier and Chaol are very interlinked to one another. Quote, and she couldn't talk about Chaol, couldn't explain just how much he had rebuilt, then shattered her heart. Not without explaining Endovier, not without explaining how one day she was going back to Endovier and freeing them all. Chaol equals freedom for her. Yes, Dorian is the one who came to get her as a champion, but Chaol is the first person that we see in that book, right? He is the one who is walking with Selena, and he's the one who trains her. And I'm sure it's very complex with her thinking about this gratitude she has for Chaol, but then also having this association of this really dark time. And he will always be connected to that really dark time.
Yeah. And the dark times that he caused, too, right? His existence in her life is bookended with darkness.
Yeah. But at its core, freedom.
Yeah.
Because also, what did Chaol do but give her some of her freedom back by sending her on this little journey?
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. And when they were in love, quote unquote, with each other, he wanted to escape, to flee with her. He was willing to do that with her.
In many ways, yeah, Chaol equals darkness and shackles, but also her freedom, because she wouldn't have gone out to even doing this with getting her powers and training if it was not for Chaol.
It is true. The visual representation of this scene is very interesting to me, especially as Aelin is talking about shackles. The tattoos on Rowan, if you think about it, are a manifestation of his grief, right? He tattoos into his body and the body of his friends, about their battles, the things they've lost. And for Rowan, also the grief that he has for his mate. Selena burned part of his tattoo away and around his wrist. And I imagine that burn wraps all the way around his wrist, kind of like a shackle. So, if that's the case, has she metaphorically begun to burn away the shackles of his grief? And I think that is the case because at the end of the chapter, Rowan tells Selena that they are not friends. Quote, "The flicker of hurt must have shown because he leaned closer, his grip tightening on her jaw. Second, whatever we are, whatever this is, I'm still figuring it out too. So if I'm going to give you the space you deserve to sort yourself out, then you can damn well give it to me." Honestly, thank God. Thank God he does not understand his feelings, because it would not be believable. But it is, for the first time, he's vocalizing, I feel something, but I don't know what I feel.
Yeah.
And that, to me, signifies or signals how far he's come from his state of grief.
Yeah. I'll give you a clue, Rowan. If you have to hold someone's jaw to communicate it,
you want them.
You want them. It is too sexy of a place. Like imagine saying that while holding her ear. That's scolding her.
That's scolding, yeah.
I'm just like, I know I make jokes of like it's a sexy place, but like genuinely, if he was holding her ear, that is scolding. If he was holding her throat, that's threatening. Also potentially sexy. Like there's different parts of the body that indicate something, and holding a chin is, it's a romantic.
Or
you said holding her chin.
I thought it was jaw.
Gripping tight on her jaw.
It's still sexy.
It's dancing with chin. All right. Finally, some tension between the two. Now I'm starting to get to kicking my feet giggling with them.
It's just such a shame that it's taken this long.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many pages. It's like been 250, 300 pages since he punched her. I feel like, and I know SJM has attempted tension multiple times since then, but this is the first time it actually works for me.
I agree.
And it's a shame that it took this long.
Yeah, I'm here for the ride now. I completely agree. I don't like that I don't believe it till now.
Yeah.
And there is a certain amount of disassociation I have to have with the first part of this book in order to be on board with this.
Yeah. Take a sip.
Plot twist, it's an ad break, but we promise it is still canon.
Now that it's cooler outside, I walk a lot more just to get coffee and get out of my office at work. And that's why I love wearing my Uptown loafers from Vionic.
With it being winter, I'm now wearing a lot more jeans, and I don't know what shoes to wear with jeans. I struggle with that all the time. But Vionic's Willa 2.0 is a lightweight, soft, and supportive flat that has Vionic's biomechanical motion technology that's built into it. So I'm able to walk around in these stylish flats with my cool jeans, looking cool as hell, and get to feel comfortable all day long.
I love that my loafers are a soft suede. They look good with all of my trousers, and they fold flat so that if I want to wear heels during the day but change into the loafers later, they're easy to store in my work bag.
Vionic has really done the work by revolutionizing medical orthotics, using that science to engineer shoes that have me feel comfortable all day in flats.
I love that I can wear shoes that look stylish no matter what I'm wearing, and that I know I'm going to feel great all day.
You also get to feel great all day by using code BookTok at checkout for 15% off your entire order at vionicshoes.com when you log into your account. It's a one-time use only.
Vionic shoes, wearable well-being for your feet.
Amy, you know how I've been going to the gym now 5 to 6 times a week?
You are in your beast era.
I really am. I now start every day with AG1. And I'm telling you, I feel great.
And now is the time more than ever to be proactive about supporting your health.
Especially when you're traveling over the holidays or, honestly, the most germ-filled moment, large family gatherings. I know my family. It makes me feel more confident knowing that my immune system is getting the daily support it needs.
While everyone else at work has been getting sick, I've been taking my AG1 Next Gen, which contains more vitamins and minerals than ever before and is clinically shown to fill common nutrient gaps. And honestly, I enjoy the taste.
They taste so good. I don't know how they do that. Their flavors include original, citrus, berry, and tropical. What's been your favorite?
I've actually been doing the original pineapple and vanilla flavor.
You know I love citrus. I love their citrus.
AG1 has their best offer ever. If you head to drinkag1.com/booktalk, you'll get the welcome kit, a morning person hat, a bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2, an AG1 flavor sampler, and you'll get to try their new sleep supplement, AGZ, for free, which has been a game changer for my nightly routine.
That's drinkag1.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for $126 in free gifts for new subscribers. We are in chapter 40, and we are now with Dorian and Sorsha, and they're hanging out in his bed, and they're just being all cute, cuddling. And Dorian says, quote, "Tell me your greatest wish," Dorian mumbled into Sorsha's hair as he entwined their fingers, marveling at the smoothness of her tanned skin against the calluses of his. Such pretty hands, like mourning doves. Ugh, okay, so we're really playing into her innocence here. This whole they're just so smooth and innocent, like doves. Well, his are calloused and manly. And, it's implying that he is a very manly man, which it's okay, so yes, he goes training every day. He fights with his sword. But Dorian is still really living to this fantasy that he is this provider, that he is the protector, when he is not. He is going to be the cause of her death. He cannot protect himself. He cannot protect anyone else. But with this woman that I don't want to say he's infantilizing her just yet, but there's a certain level of naivety that he's associating with her, which she might be naive. She's also a woman, but to play that up is to play up his wise man provider.
Yeah, it definitely, and to some extent it is Dorian, to some extent it's SJM. It's laying it on really thick, so you don't expect the truth about Sorsha that's revealed at the end of the book.
In this book.
This one
that we warned about. Yes, I think it is a little bit of SJM trying to keep us away from the Sorsha twist at the end. However, it's still so Dorian because you get this moment here, quote, he'd always been generous with his lovers. Usually he gave them gifts to keep them from complaining when he lost interest. But this time he genuinely wanted to give her things. Oh my God, guys, red flag galore.
Love bombing.
It's love bombing. Love bombing, but also there's just something about like, I didn't see the women I was with to have any value. So I paid them off for sex so that they could shut up. But you're different than other girls. I actually want to give you gifts rather than gift giving as a form of weapons, as a form of shut up, take my money and leave. It's now a thing for him to like actually want to give someone presents. And that's just something where I don't like this idea of like, oh, the women in my past, I just wanted them to shut up. I'm willing to have you talk. Red flag, my man. But that's Dorian. He's a red flag guy.
Yes, he was. He definitely was in the beginning. Throne of Glass. Is he now? Yeah,
Absolutely.
maybe.
Still pretty red.
Sorsha doesn't realize that, though. Poor Sorsha.
His red flags are as deep as his ignorance.
Okay, so the deeper his ignorance, the deeper his red flags.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This is me trying to give him an out, but continue.
So during this moment of reflection, Dorian also reflects on his feelings for Celaena and realizes that he was, quote, a boy in love with a wildfire, or believing he was in love with one. So, yeah, I see what you did there, SJM, with the wildfire. But also, you know what? Glad to see that Dorian's gained some self-awareness.
You know, not really. So let's go more into this quote here. And what was leading up to it? Quote, Celaena, Aelin, whoever she was, try not to think about Chaol or his lying or Aedion and his treason. He wanted nothing to do with them. Not now that Sorsha was with him. He'd once been a fool, swearing that he would tear the world apart for Celaena. This isn't self-awareness. This is disassociation. This is not him growing. This is him thinking that he's grown. This is him thinking, oh my God, I am so much wiser. I was a boy in love 3 months ago, but now I am a man who has a girlfriend. But in actuality, Sorsha is his way of detaching. She is an outlet for his own insecurities and the relationships he views to have betrayed him.
Yeah. No, I think that's such a great point, which I didn't really think about because, you know, Dorian, when he's infatuated with Celaena, gives her things. When she's with Chaol, he focuses on giving Chaol things. He gave him, you know, that expensive prized horse.
Yeah.
And when there's no Celaena and no Chaol to gift and spoil, he has to find someone else. And Sorsha's an easy target.
And Chaol and Celaena become one and the same in Dorian's eyes, which I will get more into. But Dorian is very resentful of everyone in his life. And he feels like he's found peace with Sorsha because she's someone that, again, he thinks that he can protect. And at this point, has not lied to him or lied by omission. So I think that we are entering very intense, unreliable narrator of Dorian. Part of it is him being like, I am just so wise. And when Dorian is lost in his own thoughts, Sorsha brings him out of it and he looks at her and thinks, quote, she looked at him the way he'd once caught Celaena looking at Chaol. He kissed her again, soft and lingering, and her body melted into his. This is not about Sorsha. This is about wanting to be wanted the way that Chaol and Celaena want each other. Celaena didn't want Dorian and Chaol didn't want Dorian. Both of these two people that he loved did not choose him. So here he is finding someone who gets to replicate that, but choose Dorian for the first time.
You're hurting my heart.
Yeah, I am. There's this. So this is just a void that he is trying to fill of Chaol and Selena. It's tragic.
Yeah.
And it's like, he is shitty for this. And I'm about to, like, I know that I'm going in hard in the sense that, like, this is pretty shitty of him, but, like, his shittiness comes from tragedy. And I don't
Yeah.
think that it's necessarily, like, just because he's red flags doesn't mean it's his fault. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he is hurting and doesn't know what to do with it.
Exactly. In a lot of ways, this is his coping mechanism, right? He
Oh, yeah.
feels abandoned by his best friend. He feels abandoned by the first woman to ever make him feel something.
Mm-hmm.
And his coping mechanism is to replay his fantasies with a willing participant.
Yep.
Which is sad. It's sad. Saoirse deserved better, guys.
Oh my God, she so deserved better.
So now I'm questioning all my notes about Dorian. Damn
As
it.
I was writing it, I was reading your notes and I was like,
So cruel.
be the voice of a lot of people, because there's a lot of people who look at this scene in this chapter and they quote Dorian like he is some kind of wise man who understands Selena, when it's like, no, he thinks that he's wise, but he doesn't understand himself.
Yeah. And that is kind of reflected. I don't know how I'm going to say any of my notes. So I believed at one point, there is some self-awareness, more so than who he was at the Throne of Glass novel, because he is questioning what the future holds. Quote, always hiding. Was that to be his life? Not just the women he loved, but his magic, his true thoughts. Now, at least he's questioning is where I stand at this moment, because Dorian, the lazy, listless prince of Throne of Glass, didn't question. He was just there to exist. So for him to be pondering, is this what I am? Is this all I am meant for? I feel like is maybe not full self-awareness, but on the path towards self-awareness. And also set up for his interaction that he's about to have with Chaol.
It is a great moment of, you know, even in your darkest moments, there's going to be that moment of a question that hits home. You know what I mean? And whether it's self-awareness in the sense that he gets to come out wiser and, you know, older, that might not be it, but there's it's a recognition of fear, I'd say.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to take a queer lens, literary theory lens, I could say that this is almost sounds like someone who might be struggling with their identity and hiding their true feelings from their loved ones in the life.
That is a great point, because I really do think Dorian and Chaol could be queer for each other.
There's a lot of, like, we could look at them with that queer lens, literary
Mhm.
lens, because I'm going to read that quote again. Always hiding, was that to be his life, not just the woman he loved, but his magic, his true thoughts. There's a lot of interpretation for the queer literary lens.
Yeah. 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 I could see Dorian as bisexual.
I mean, you can look at it as his magic, as his budding awakening of his sexuality, of his bisexuality.
Look at you.
Thank you. I mean, if you think about it, every time his magic has reacted has been in defense of Chaol.
Yes, you're right. You're right. It's a sexual awakening.
And right now, it's about to tingle again when he argues with Chaol.
Yep.
And he's arguing with Chaol, saying, you don't like Selena, when actuality he's talking
He's
about
talking
himself.
about himself. I know.
You don't like magic, aka you don't like my sexual feelings for you.
See, guys, this is what is so fun about literary lenses.
It is. I'm having a blast.
So once Saoirse leaves for the day, Chaol comes to Dorian to apologize and ask for his help and reconnect. And Dorian has words. And
Amy's trying not to read her note.
so in my note, I say, I think we feel that Dorian's comments to Chaol are justified. Or is that an assumption on my part? And Jack wrote, totally an assumption.
Now, I'm not saying that everyone has not withheld truth from Dorian. Yes, truth has been withheld from him. But is he being reasonable or an adult about it? No, because he goes into this thinking automatically Quote, perhaps Dorian was being unfair, but he didn't care. Who is the one person that Dorian is taking the most amount of his anger on? It is Chaol, not Celaena, who lied about her identity to him, right? Like that, the lies that she did, I feel like far outnumber the lies that Chaol did. And honestly, like, again, his anger for Chaol doesn't come from the lies. It comes from the fact that Chaol chose Celaena over him.
It's so warped because I also think that Dorian identifies more with Celaena than he does with Chaol, right? Because he doesn't get mad at her for hiding her identity. Ultimately, because he's like, I understand the need to hide now. I understand what it means to hide a truth that could cause your death, essentially.
All I'm hearing is queerness right now.
It's true. It's true. It's true. And I think why I feel like it's justified, maybe because it's my queerness coming out here too, but Dorian, in identifying with Celaena, calls Chaol out for not giving Celaena what she needed, and therefore, by extension, is incapable of giving Dorian what he needs, right? And it feels justified from my point of view as a reader because Chaol the night before was just questioning Aedion and Aelin, like, oh, these two aren't a good combination. They're going to be monsters. Forget morality, etc. Do you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I do. Okay. Sorry, I'm going on another, I feel like I should write a paper on this for Substack as to why Dorian is queer, because...
Can I read this quote? Because I think
Yeah, go ahead.
It supports the idea of queerness.
Okay.
Dorian says to Chaol, quote, she was not becoming anything different from what she always was and always had the capacity to be. You just finally saw everything. And once you saw that other part of her, Dorian said quietly, you cannot pick and choose what parts of her to love. Dorian is projecting here. So when you read that from Dorian's point of view, talking about himself to Chaol, I'm not different. I always had capacity to be this thing. You finally see it. You can't choose to love it or hate it. You have to choose to love all of me or hate all of me. It feels very queer.
Keep going. Keep going.
Quote, he clamped down on the power that surged as he imagined. For the first time, he realized what it was to be her. As for Celaena, he said again, you do not have the right to wish she were not what she is. The only thing you have a right to do is decide whether you are her enemy or her friend.
He wants to be Celaena because Celaena is the first time that Chaol has ever swayed from what is right. Also, this is a spoiler for a future book, but with zero context of what I'm spoiling. It really gives interesting meaning for when Dorian turns into a woman for that little bit.
Oh, I totally forgot that.
I do too. I forget about that a lot. But, there is this desire to connect to whether it's Celaena. I'm not saying to be gay is to be feminine. I'm going to say that there is this desire to be Celaena because Celaena is what captured Chaol's attention, and Celaena's a woman, so there's this desire to kind of be similar to that. But Celaena was also a protector. She was also a warrior.
All good points.
And that's when he started really trying to step up his fighting, was when she came into the picture. Now, I'm going to look at the same section and break it down as to why Dorian is being unfair and that he's lying to himself and that he thought that he was a boy in love with Celaena. So he asks Chaol, quote, do you still love her? He didn't know why he cared, why it was important. That can read two different ways, right? You can read it as either Dorian still cares that Celaena chose him, or you can read it as Dorian's upset that Chaol chose Celaena. Why does it matter that Chaol loves Celaena one way or another? Because he is bitter about it. He is bitter of that jealousy because, again, Celaena chose Chaol, but more importantly, Chaol chose Celaena. And then we get into Dorian being preachy over Chaol, saying that he doesn't get to choose what parts of Celaena you love. First off, leaps and bounds. Like, everyone's sitting here being like, he's so wise, when he is not talking about Celaena in the slightest. Dorian is talking about himself there. It is absolutely unreliable narrator. This is a very wise thing to say, but he's never talking about Celaena. You don't get to pick and choose, Chaol, the parts of me you love, the parts of me you get to be loyal to. Are you loyal to Dorian, your friend, or are you loyal to Dorian, the prince, or are you loyal to the crown? You don't get to choose which parts you're loyal to. And I would also like to point out that when Chaol answered if he was in love with Celaena, all he says is, quote, "But I had to get her out of this castle because it was too dangerous and she was what she was becoming." He never said, I don't choose the parts. Like, I only love this part of her. Like, there's no choice. There was the fact that she is dangerous. And again, Chaol, I'm not saying Chaol is innocent in this, but Dorian is using Chaol as an outlet. You know, it's this hearing Chaol, the man he loves, say, Celaena's too dangerous. Well, Celaena is Dorian. Dorian is becoming too dangerous. And so he's using Sorsha the only way he knows, and that is to project himself that he is better and wiser.
And that he's equivalent to Celaena.
Yep. I mean, because Celaena charmed the staff, essentially, being Chaol. And Dorian is now with the staff.
Yeah. Sorsha is a stand-in for Chaol.
Yeah. With Dorian being Celaena. As Dorian and Chaol's argument continues, Dorian really projects. Dorian says, quote, "You're not really scared of those things, are you? No, it's what they represent, the change. But let me tell you, things have already changed, and changed because of you. I have magic. There is no one doing that. No getting rid of it." Okay, magic is his queerness. Things have changed because of you. First off, Chaol didn't do shit to change anything. Like, he didn't make things that move into motion, like, realistically.
Yeah.
But what has changed inside Dorian? His love and lust for Chaol. And there's no getting rid of it.
And it's all because of Chaol, because you're too attractive, Chaol.
You know, that man, he just... I like to imagine that they end up together.
Yeah. I mean, I am all on this boat. I'm on this ship. Take me away.
Choo choo. That's not a ship, but
That's a train.
What am I going to say? Like, that's the ocean? Row, row. Motherfucker, row, row.
Okay. Chaol cannot catch a break because he leaves Dorian. Dorian's pissed at him. Now, he goes to the apartment where they're waiting for Murtaugh. And then Aedion has words for Chaol now that Murtaugh's come and gone. And it echoes Dorian's sentiments, although maybe a little less queer, but also kind of queer. Chaol tells Aedion, "I am on neither side. I only wish to help my friend before I leave for Aniel." Aedion responds, "Perhaps that's your problem. Perhaps not picking a side is what costs you."
No, we all hear it.
Aedion doesn't hold back. Chaol even describes his face as lupine, which, you know, Aedion's called the Northern Wolf, so it makes sense they go together. Aedion, who is only a few years older than Chaol, puts Chaol in his place and reminds us just how inexperienced and naive Chaol really is, and maybe closeted. Quote, "When your men have died around you, when you have seen your women unforgivably hurt, when you have watched droves of orphan children starve to death in the streets of your city, then you can talk to me about sparing innocent lives. Until then, the fact remains, Captain, that you have not picked a side because you are still a boy and you are still afraid. Not of losing innocent lives, but of losing whatever dream it is you're clinging to. Your prince has moved on. My queen has moved on, but you have not, and it will cost you in the end." So, A, that's the kind of shit we let our therapists say Aedion.
Mm-hmm.
Not our friends, our therapists.
Only our therapists could drop truth bombs like that.
Right? Otherwise, we reject them.
I think people still reject their therapist truth bombs.
Also true. Also true. However, if we think about this from the point of view of queerness,
Mm-hmm.
Aedion's basically saying, don't judge me for what I choose to do or not do.
Yeah.
You can't even make up your mind. You can't even come out of the closet. You're clinging on to this ideal of heteronormativity.
And what could be a replacement of heteronormativity? Chaol's issues with quote unquote honor.
Yep.
You can
The
replace
patriarchy.
honor, which has been defined by the patriarchy, which is heteronormative actions. And you can have this moment here where Chaol thinks, quote, his honor might very well be all he would have left at the end of this. He is still choosing to identify as being someone who's honorable in this straight hetero.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ugh, I love it.
I feel like this is great, guys. I don't know if you guys think so, but I think this is a great episode.
Yeah. This really does need to be an SSJ article.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a nice chug.
Yep.
We go into chapter 41, and Aelin and Rowan were with them, and the besties now have some romantic tension. And she starts to open up about Aedion to Rowan. Quote, after telling him about Aedion and her own selfish wish for freedom, she decided that talking was good? Doesn't end on the question mark. Even if she wasn't able to open up about some things, she liked hearing Rowan speak. It just reminds me of Taylor Swift. Hey kids, spelling is fun.
Oh, yeah.
Hey kids, therapy's fun. Actually, it's quite hard, but highly recommended.
Yeah. Except finding a new therapist sucks.
I've been through 6. Not at my free will.
No, I know you haven't. I've only had 2.
I think you're going to like it.
No, it'll be good once I find the right person.
Yeah, but keep trying.
Yep. So back in Wendland, Rowan and Aelin, they had this vulnerability. But ultimately, Rowan is still going to be a hard ass when it comes to training. But he's learned a little bit. Quote, Rowan pushed, dragging her from ruin to ruin, the only safe places for her to lose control. At least he brought food with him now, as she was constantly starving. At least he's feeding her. Nobody wants to deal with a hangry Aelin if she's going to burn the place down. We then learned that Beltane is a few days away. Beltane is one of 5 Gaelic fire festivals, typically around the 1st of May. Reminds me of Samhain, which I think is also Gaelic. Beltane marks the start of the summer and the quote-unquote return of fertility and life. And let me tell you, Aelin's coming back to life, right? And there's some deepening desires between Rowan and Aelin, which feels a lot like
Someone's ovulating.
someone is ovulating. Yes.
It's so funny. Not me. I'm currently PMSing, but it's obvious when I'm ovulating. It really is.
Aelin might be ovulating.
Yeah.
And, I think it's important that this is the point where not only is Rowan and Aelin's relationship deepening, but it's also the breaking point for all of Maeve's lies about Aelin that she's told Rowan. And part of that is also because it's a time when Aelin feels safest. Quote, it was her night, her mother had said, a night when a fire-bearing girl had nothing to fear, no powers to hide. Aelin Fireheart, people had whispered as she bounded past, embers streaming from her like ribbons. Aedion and a few of her more lethal court members trailing as indulgent guards. Aelin of the Wildfire.
Fire is freedom, or there's freedom in fire, which will be a clue for later when we talk about baptism. Aelin is starting to come more into herself, which is why we are calling her Aelin and not Selena. Quote, a wretched part of her was somewhat pleased by the few admiring glances she caught being thrown in her direction by the visiting males. We love it. We love to see it. That realization that femininity can be used as a weapon. And it's okay to like it. It's okay to be like, ooh, I'm being checked out.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Something that she hasn't even tried to use on Rowan, right? This is a skill, this is a weapon that she hasn't even remotely tried to flirt with him or anything like that. And that's something we've seen her use everywhere. Like, remember when she went to the village and she was like trying to flirt with the baker or whatever? She didn't try this shit on him because he, anyway,
She wants his respect.
she wants his respect and then his dick. But Aelin also gets jealous. Quote, though she did catch a few females looking at him with far warmer interest, she wanted to claw their faces off for it. Okay.
Okay.
Romance. Talk about romance there. Into a territorial. So at the party, Aelin's in charge of the fire. And it's funny to me because it reminds me of the previous books, Just the Crown of Midnight. The music was already so inviting, the dancing around the fire so joyous, and the food on the table smelling so delicious. And here she was, far from it all, just burning. It reminds me of when she was posted as a guard with Chaol back at the palace.
Yep. The time that Chaol goes and finds her and they dance.
This is a replacement of that moment.
Such a good point. So while Selene is controlling the fires, when the next scene starts, there is no use of any of Selena's names until she is fully conscious after the ice baths. I think. I mean, I skimmed it a few times. I'm like, I don't see her name. It's just she.
Interesting.
And it's not until the inferno inside her has calmed down that she is then again called Selena. And I think that it's demonstrating to us this transition, this metamorphosis of Selena to Aelin. Like, this is really a turning point for her. And we may not really notice the lack of her name because we are in her point of view. But I also think the writing reflects how during her burnout, Aelin/Selena is losing all sense of self. She's very quickly entranced by the music and the way the world looks as she uses her magic. Quote, such beautiful ancient music that her flames moved with it, turning into rubies and citrines and tiger eyes and deepest sapphires. And what I like about this is she's starting to find beauty in her magic, right? She's starting to see the world through her magic and falling in love with it, which is a big contrast to her fear of it that she had at the beginning of this book. However, it also lulls her into a sense of complacency, and it lulls Rowan too.
I really like it because it shows a connection to the first book where she was like, I really like music. And if you remember me from that season, I was like, okay, so do we all.
Yeah.
This makes sense. I love the connection there.
Yes.
I'm going to go on as quickly as I can, mini rant. So on TikTok, there was this woman who posted a review sort of on the Blood of Hercules. And she basically started saying, hey, romantasy girlies, we're never going to beat the allegations that we're not smart if we're going to let books like this fly. And she talks about the Blood of Hercules and saying that there are no paragraphs in it and it's just like poorly written, and the sentence structures is an indicator of that. I didn't watch the whole thing, but then I saw this person stitch it, this man who said, hey, you've clearly never really paid attention. You didn't read the whole book because, it actually, the author has talked about the FMC being autistic and there's a lot of trauma, and a lot of therapists have talked about like this is very much reminiscent of how people who have trauma and are autistic kind of think or talk. And so he has a podcast too, and they're defending it. I liked his points. It's, he was like a bald man. I'm like, this is strange. Why am I agreeing with a bald man with a podcast? That's not Joe Rogan. Who are you? No. So that's normally my go-to not to believe that. But I was like, oh, I agree with that. Well, then I saw her follow-up post and she's just saying, actually, I did read the whole thing. And then she plays a clip of Jasmine Mass, or like the author, saying, talking about the reason why she wrote it like that is because she wanted to be able to skim it. And that was this content creator saying, see, it's not meant to be smart. It's meant to be skimmed. And one of the comments that I saw on that one, someone said, well, we should have known we couldn't trust him. He had ACOTAR in the back that's always an indicator, because like of his like bookcase, that's always an indicator of someone who who isn't smart, or you shouldn't trust their opinions. That's a concept I have seen so many times, people saying on TikTok saying, well, I know I shouldn't have trusted them. They have ACOTAR in the back. All of that to say is that you pointing out that SJM chose not to say Selena's name, Aelin's name, about to going into a scene with her being essentially, and I'll go into it, baptized and cleansing of her sins through fire and water in this bath, to then become this metamorphosis of Aelin. But you're going to go ahead and say that people who cite the writings of SJM are stupid.
So I'm going to jump.
Yeah.
I just have to, because this is so poignant right now. So while she's in pain, she thinks of herself as being on an anvil, and the pain is the hammer hammering against her. And at
Yep.
the end of chapter 42, she realizes that she is being remade. She's being forged. How do you make swords? You heat them up really
Mhm.
hot,
Mhm.
you hammer them, you put them in ice water. She
Yep.
is literally a weapon being remade, reforged.
Yep.
And you don't think that is genius?
Yeah. It's toxic, and that's why we publicly don't post anything when we're like, this book ain't it. We talk about books that we feel like the writing isn't executed well, that, you know, we like the message, but, you know, maybe it's not our favorite execution. I don't think we've ever gone on and said like this book is straight up stupid. It's mostly been like, I just don't like, it doesn't resonate. The execution isn't it for me. There's a specific reason why we do not say anything about books being quote unquote smart or stupid, because if you want, because authors are intentional. Some authors have more layers of intention. Maybe. I think SJM has a lot of layers of intention that people do not recognize and dismiss it. And to then categorize, I see this comment so many times of people being like, oh, they have ACOTAR in the background. That should have been the moment I knew not to trust them.
Ooh, I feel an SSJ article bubbling up right now.
I'll send you the TikToks, because I had to take a beat and be like, do I want to say anything to this? Like, I don't want to join the conversation that way, but I think joining the conversation in SSJ way, and I mean that in a absolutely 100% passive aggressive way, where I don't want to confront this creator in the slightest. I have no desire to get into it with her. I don't want to pick fights with someone by stitching them directly. I would rather screen record their video when everyone else is jumping on the bandwagon of shitting them. And I don't want to say that this content creator, that she's wrong. I do personally actually think that she's wrong. But if that's her interpretation, who am I to argue otherwise? Actually, I am someone with a whole ass podcast that did an episode on it. So I am someone to argue on it. But I think an SSJ article where it needs to be articulated wisely.
I want to go back to the Blood of Hercules thing really fast.
Yeah.
The character she doesn't even have a sense of time.
I know.
So, of course, everything bleeds together and there are no paragraphs. She's not coherent.
How about the fact that male funny characters are allowed to be taken seriously, but the second you have a female character who's funny, we automatically dismiss them as not having any depth or value? Because I think that in Blood of Hercules, that is one of the fucking funniest characters I have read in a long time. Super clever. And I think that there's a lot of people can't handle a funny female and give her depth. Me.
Yep.
I get that all the time.
Dorian, I'm projecting a little bit.
Dorian's not funny.
No, I'm saying you're projecting.
Oh, me projecting? Dorian. Yeah. I was like, Dorian's not funny. No, I'm projecting. So the funny thing just popped in my head as to like, why is it that people dismiss this character of not having depth, where it's like, because she's funny? Because if you look underneath the humor, it is dark. And if you're going to like have darkness, like that implies depth, but like, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, derailment, but I felt like it was worth the derailment just to like point out what you said here of there is structure to SJM's writing and the narrative, and it is smart. It is good.
She has intention, and the layers are there if you're looking.
Yeah.
So we've been unhappy with parts of Heir of Fire, but this is where I'm like, yeah, you're back into the swing of things, SJM.
The part that we're most unhappy about is that we're not getting more of her writing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing where the parts that, and the punch. But, like, other than that, it's like the things that we keep coming back to is like, hey, you're coming at this too fast. You're going at this. Like, I don't believe the jump from here to here. I know, SJM, if you were to have more space and time, you could make me believe it.
Yeah.
Because you are a talented author.
Exactly. Okay. Back to the text.
Yeah.
So another reason, what's interesting about this chapter to me and this scene, the sequence, is that Rowan has allowed himself to become vulnerable with Aelin, but respect is still kind of questionable. And the reason for that is because not only of how hard he pushes her, it's also how he continues to treat her in those training moments, as well as not listening to her. Quote, Rowan remained by her side. Quote, Rowan remained beside her, murmuring as if she were a nervous horse. So this is while Aelin is managing the fires. And this moment is very telling because it is from her point of view, and Rowan is still treating her like an animal, like a horse that needs to be broken, despite the fact that their relationship is growing. And because he is treating her like an animal, he does not listen to her when she asks for a break and says she's hungry. She's not tamed yet. She's not in control yet. Rowan's not in control yet. So Rowan thinks that Aelin can take more. Which, by the way, pisses me off later in the chapter because Rowan blames Aelin for not communicating that she was burning out. Excuse me, she's never burned out before, so how would she know?
Yeah. Also, she did say she was tired.
Yeah.
The redemption for me is that he immediately feels bad. Again, I just feel bad, and I'm like, okay, I forgive you.
That's true.
I really am. Even in my real life where it's like, sorry, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is also a very heated moment, pun intended, but this time in a sexy way. So Selena is starting to get overheated and they're standing by the fire and she's fire, right? And Rowan starts to help her. Quote, a cool breeze licked up her neck and she closed her eyes, moaning. She could feel him watching her. And after a moment, he said, just a little while longer. Oh my God.
Don't come yet.
Kind of, right? Is he edging her? Like, it's kind of giving edging. I'm just saying. Like, just a little while longer. Hold it in, baby. Oh my God. Okay. So when Selena gets close to burning out or not burning out, there's a lot of hinting that Rowan is her equal, with like the fire and the ice and everything.
Yeah.
Quote,
yeah.
Ice and fire, frost and embers, locked in a battle, pushing and pulling. Beneath it, she could almost taste Rowan's steel will slamming against her magic, a will that refused to let the fire burn her into nothing. Kind of reminds me, I can't remember if it's in this scene or a future scene, but it's later. She talks about her mother not dying during childbirth because of her father's steel will. So that just kind of reminds me of that. And then another quote here, it was the horror of that thought that made her focus on what she could grasp, namely the pine and snow smell of Rowan. Rowan smells like snow because snow is calming and cold. And she needs that.
And reminds her of Terrasen.
Yep. We're now at the moment of the bath. And this is what I've been talking about since maybe even Throne of Glass season. Who knows? And what have we said before? It's baptismal. It's cleansing of sins. And we have yet to see her take a proper bath since maybe even book 1. And here we are getting quite literally the concept of baptism by fire, right? And this is burning away her sins. This is burning away the hiding. This is exposing the truth and therefore exposing her scars, which breaks that final layer of vulnerability between the two when Rowan sees those scars.
Yeah, I love that because this takes me back to Bible class, and I apologize. there's an analogy of the refiner's fire, which is when you're refining silver to get the impurities out of the silver, you put it into fire to burn the impurities away. And so, to Jac's point, baptism by fire is literally burning away impurities.
Yep. And arguably, this is where Selena is gone.
Yeah.
This could be the moment that Selena's truly not Selena. And maybe there'll be another moment that we're like, this is the moment. But at least this is like a real good marker.
This feels like a turning point.
Yeah.
Now, this is the infamous moment when Rowan finally sees the scars on Aelin's back. And this is the thing she's been fearing all this time. And she is so tired and so drained from this ordeal that she's just been through that she's not able to lie about it anymore. Which, in its way, could kind of also be a reflection of the fact she's burned out all these impurities in her body, right? She's not capable of lying anymore. However, she also hates herself enough to assume the worst about Rowan in this moment. Quote, he opened his mouth, but shut it and swallowed, that lethal rage winking out, as if he remembered who he was talking to and that it was the least punishment she deserved. He turned on his heel and shut the door behind him. She wished he'd slammed it, wished he'd shattered it, but he closed it with barely more than a click and did not return. And let me tell you, I'm really grateful that SGM made Rowan's point of view the next one, because even though we know Selena/Aelin is an unreliable narrator, it's hard to not assume what she's assuming right now.
Yeah, because Selena thinks that she deserves this. And of course she would think that she deserves this. This is her only, confirmation bias.
Yep. Take a sip.
Take a sip. I'm just preparing us for this chapter.
Chapter 42. Rowan is very upset with himself and with Maeve, and he has to fly it out. And, he's never really spoken well of Maeve, technically, and he's allowed Selena to question and make comments and ask for stories that continue to demonstrate Maeve's cruelty. And so, we suspect that Rowan has been struggling with his loyalties, which makes me believe that this must be the straw that breaks the camel's back for him. Quote, Maeve had lied by omission, but she knew what the girl had gone through, knew she'd been a slave. Why hadn't Maeve told him? Great question, Rowan. I want to know too.
So I do love that we're in Rowan's head. I also do think that we just keep aging Aelin up, including in Rowan's own head. Quote, that day early on, he threatened to whip the girl, gods above, and she had lost it. He'd been such a proud fool that he assumed she lashed out because she was nothing more than a child. He should have known better, should have known that when she did react to something like that, it meant the scars went deep. Then there were other things he'd said. First off, love a groveling man. Love it. Make him feel bad. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. / I think it could have gone on longer. But I do need to point out, and I think this is an SJM thing again, even though we were just talking about like, she's a brilliant writer, but a person can have notes. And this is saying that someone can't have depth without pain. And there's a layer to that. Like, I think when you have pain, it brings you into a certain amount of like understanding of the world. But he feels bad that he threatened her with violence because she's experienced violence.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like or we just don't do that. Now, he continues to think, quote, she had barely grown into her woman's body when they hurt her like that. And this is where I have some issues. So now he recognizes how young she is, or how young she was when all of this started, right? And that pain is only an indicator for age and respect. That's the only way he can value her.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I like what you said. I also find it interesting that throughout his thought process, he's like, but she's a girl and she's a child and blah, blah, blah. But she's a child who has a woman's body.
Yeah. She was barely into her woman's fuckable body. Like, that's like a weird way of saying she just gone through puberty, but like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is an interesting progression, but
I'm sure it was intentional, but it didn't work out the way I think it was meant to.
yeah. This other quote here: primal anger sharpened in his gut, brimming with a territorial possessive need. Not a need for her, but a need to protect, a male's duty and honor. He had not handled the news as he should have. It's like, let's all just keep lying to ourselves, but also stick around for the breadcrumbs if you truly have not read past this book.
Man, lots of people are lying to themselves lately. Just saying.
Me? No. So Rowan you didn't say no.
No, you're not lying to yourself.
So Rowan goes back to Selena. So like, again, he's angry flying. And then he's like, I'm so mad. Wait a minute. I left her in a really shitty way. So he turns right back around. Whee! And can't do a hawk noise. And so she starts to open up to him as to like why she didn't tell him her whole backstory. And she says, quote, at first I was afraid you'd mock me if I told you, and I would kill you for it. Then I didn't want you to pity me. And more than any of that, I didn't want you to think it was ever an excuse. Yeah, like a good girl soldier, he said. She had to look away for a moment to keep from letting him see just what that meant to her. Oh my God. This is the moment in the library, Amy, when I start PMSing. It's funny because like in the library, I was like, this is so beautiful. And right now I'm like, that kind of annoys me. Still PMSing. So right now this shows the validation she needs. She needs a mentor, a father figure, an Arabin figure to praise her. It's not a moment of, hey, I was afraid you mock me. That's kind of shitty. Like I have this traumatic thing that I'm afraid you're going to make fun of me for. I have this traumatic thing that I'm afraid you're going to pity me and then think this is an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than any of that, rather than Rowan saying, hey, that's really screwed up. I'm so sorry that I made you feel that way. He interprets that as like a good soldier. And she eats that up. It just shows that they're meant for each other. Like, and I don't mean this in the way of like, he's so shitty. She needs that. She needs that validation. Yeah. He is validating her the way that she needs to be validated.
Right. It's not the way I need to be validated.
Not at all. I am nobody's little soldier.
Right. Well, and it's also this like, so she wasn't a good soldier for going through all your shitty training prior. It was only because she suffered as a slave in Endovier. Yeah. And didn't want you to know about it that she's now a good soldier?
That's bullshit. That's not how I need to be praised. That's not for me. I don't think I'm a warrior.
No, you are not a warrior. I'm not a warrior.
No.
But, you do need words of affirmation, just not those words of affirmation.
Like if I said that, I would expect the person saying, I am so sorry I made you feel that you couldn't. I'm so sorry that I came off as someone who is not approachable. If I said all that and my response was, good girl, I'd be like, no. You mean I was right?
Now, as I said earlier, I love the image at the end of the scene. It echoes back to Selena's burnout, Aelin's burnout, feeling like the anvil, and her pain the hammer, not to destroy, but to create. She wakes up in bed with Rowan, quote, and when she sees him holding her hand to his chest, it's that moment, quote, something molten rushed through her, pouring over every crack and fracture still left gaping and open, not to hurt or mar, but to weld, to forge. And I'm literally getting goosebumps right now. And I wrote in my notes, this is the stuff that gives me goosebumps. Selena's a weapon. She's always been a weapon since Throne of Glass. This is the third book. Now she's gone through the Forge's fire and is being honed into something greater. Selena is metaphorically being reshaped into Aelin. it's really good. Like,
Yeah.
I have notes for SJM on other things, but this metaphor
Oh,
that
it's great.
yeah. Ugh.
My note was, fuck me up. Yeah.
All right. So that's the end of our episode. We don't have a question to answer. We're going to examine one more scene in lieu of us answering a question this week. But as a reminder, just very quickly, our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks segment is spoilery. Someone commented on Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks of episode 1 saying, "Why did you reveal Sorsha's treachery?" And I'm like, this is the whole fucking point of Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks is so you don't listen to the spoilers. God damn it.
Hey guys, hey, to that one listener, you broke Amy. This is like the first time anyone has truly broken her. You did it.
I kept that inside for days. I
You
have not
really
told you
did.
this in days.
No, I'm happy to see your reaction. It's helping me cope.
Anyway, Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks airs on Thursday because there are spoilers. We also discuss listener thoughts and interpretations from emails, DMs, Spotify comments. So we're going to dive into this last segment before we sign off.
Okay, so this is at the beginning of chapter 41, and we have Rowan dragging Aelin around from location to location, different temples to have her use her magic. And she talks about how hungry she is all the time and that he's accepting that he needs to like feed her all the time because magic burns everything up. So she's actually eating an apple. And I think it's like, he brings her an apple along those lines. And I am going to view this as a moment of representing Adam and Eve. And it's a representative of like the truth of the, apple, the tree of knowledge type thing. And that, this is all going on while her emotions are happening. And, she's kind of reflecting, sort of like reminiscing on kind of like her feelings with Rowan, but it's also like she's in denial of it. But I find it interesting because Rowan, you can view, is the one to have given Aelin the apple, and you can also view this as Maeve as God, and this is questioning religion because if in that Rowan himself is the serpent potentially. So hear me out. I had a good point early and now I'm trying to remember why I went there because it was Rowan flying. Let me go look at your notes. It was Rowan flying away like an angry little bird he was. And it says,
Why had Maeve lied?
Maeve had lied by omission. She knew what the girl had gone through, knew she'd been a slave. Why hadn't Maeve told him? And I think there's a certain amount of like expectations of God and why hasn't God said anything or told us? And what's this whole mystery around everything? And so you can almost view this as if Selena is eating this apple of truth and Maeve is this, behind the scenes orchestrator of everything, then there's this questioning of God. So that's like one avenue. If I really wanted to get into the nitty gritty of things, I can go more into it because it's you talk about Rowan struggling with his loyalties. You can say it struggling with his faith.
I like that. I do like that.
And it's all happening at temples.
It's so true. And Maeve, Mab, and Mora are all like Mab and Mora were converted into gods.
Yeah.
Right? One is Deanna. I forget what the other one is. So Maeve is godlike. I think that's very interesting. So I had to go back and look for the moment. And it says, after days of helping Emrys with the food and devouring it when the cook wasn't looking, she was hoping for a chance to relax on Beltane. But Rowan hauled her to a field atop the mountain plateau. Selena bit into an apple she'd pulled from her pocket and raised her brows at Rowan, who was standing in front of a massive pile of wood for the bonfire, flanked by two small, unlit fires on either side. So they're preparing for this festival.
Mm-hmm.
How would I interpret this?
I can interpret your interpretation. I mean, if you want to look into food as power, she took the apple from a demi-fae, the cook specifically, and you can say that, like, these demi-faes are what's keeping her fueled and fed and powerful, and ultimately someone that's going to be more powerful than anyone else around. If you wanted to, look at the beginning of an apple.
True. I'm really hung up on the whole religious aspect of it that you brought into
go
this.
go into that. Go
Well, I
run
don't
in
know.
with it.
I don't know. You've thrown me off.
We can dive into it. I just want to show that there's different ways of looking at it. Like, it's not just we don't have to necessarily say this is sexist. You know what I mean?
Right.
The feminist lens can go into a religious lens very easily. They kind of overlap sometimes.
I want to keep that religious lens, but also mix it with the Marxist point of view. So if we compare Selena eating the apple with Rowan present to Adam and Eve, Selena, being Eve, biting into the apple, is the first to gain the knowledge of truth and evil.
Yep.
Which, in some ways, you could say is what sparks the path towards her burnout, because the burnout is that transition moment from Garden of Eden into humanity, where she's being reforged from immortal to mortal, but also being reforged into her truest self. She's finding the truth within herself through that process. And that's power, right? She is ultimately power. And she, through the transition, is now going to be able to truly claim all of her power. Yeah.
I love it. Well, we need to wrap this up so we can go into Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks, because we all record in one moment. But before we move on, I would like to cite a TikTok I saw, and it is them saying, hey, guys, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam or Eve. So if you're not bi, you're not supporting the Bible.
Wow.
And on that note, let's sign off.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. Join us Thursday for our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks discussion of today's chapters.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps other readers find us. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Share your comments through our form at booktalkforbooktalk.com, and we might feature your feedback in a future mini episode or in a Patreon exclusive episode.
For merch and more ways to support the show, head to booktalkforbooktalk.com. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle BookTok for BookTalk. And don't forget to join us by subscribing to the Subtext Society Journal.substack.com to get more insights into the romantasy and romance world.
Bye.
Bye. The holidays throw me off purely because I'm not at work. I lose track of everything.
The number one thing that I lose track of are my nutrients. It is always the first thing to go, which is why I am obsessed with Ritual. Especially they're essential for women 18 plus.
Their Essential for Women 18 Plus Multi contains 9 key nutrients in 2 delayed release capsules designed for optimal absorption per day, which means it's gentle on the stomach with a minty essence. And quite frankly, I love that minty essence because there's nothing worse than taking a pill that tastes like crap.
Ritual even conducted a university-led clinical trial for their Essential for Women 18 Plus multivitamin to assess its efficacy. The results? It increased vitamin D levels by 43%, omega-3 DHA levels by 41% in just 12 weeks.
I honestly need to get my partner on this. She needs both.
We all need it, which is why we have the perfect code for you today.
Our listeners get early access to their Black Friday sale for 40% off your first month at ritual.com/booktalk.
That's ritual.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for 40% off your first month. Don't miss out on their best sale this season. Amy, you know how I've been going to the gym now 5 to 6 times a week.
You are in your beast era.
I really am. I now start every day with AG1. And I'm telling you, I feel great.
And now is the time more than ever to be proactive about supporting your health.
Especially when you're traveling over the holidays or, honestly, the most germ-filled moment, large family gatherings. I know my family. It makes me feel more confident knowing that my immune system is getting the daily support it needs.
While everyone else at work has been getting sick, I've been taking my AG1 Next Gen, which contains more vitamins and minerals than ever before and is clinically shown to fill common nutrient gaps. And honestly, I enjoy the taste.
They taste so good. I don't know how they do that. Their flavors include original, citrus, berry, and tropical. What's been your favorite?
I've actually been doing the original pineapple and vanilla flavor.
You know I love citrus. I love their citrus.
AG1 has their best offer ever. If you head to drinkag1.com/booktalk, you'll get the welcome kit, a morning person hat, a bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2, an AG1 flavor sampler, and you'll get to try their new sleep supplement, AGZ, for free, which has been a game changer for my nightly routine.
That's drinkag1.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for $126 in free gifts for new subscribers.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here, wishing you a very happy half-off holiday, because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.